Hey, this is Andy Rusk, and you're listening to Chris Gordon on Ramblings with a Hellblazer.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and good night, dear Hellblazers, wherever you may be in the world. This is Chris Gordon, Ramblings of a Hellblazer. I thought I'd change around the greeting a little bit there to throw you. So, what have we got for today? I'm seeing everybody is still working very, very hard. That is absolutely fantastic. Keep it going. It's been hinted that Matt's appearance in Arrow in a month's time, I think it's about a month's time, is not necessarily going to be a one-off. There might be more of them. That'll be fantastic. It all builds up and it builds up to bring us a new season of Constantine. So, what have I got for you today? Hurry up, you will. Born us, you are. Okay, Yoda, let's... And Donald. So, anyway, what have I got for you today? I've got for you today a treat. I've just finished an interview with the stunt coordinator who worked on Constantine, as well as many, many other shows and films, including Fast 7, The Walking Dead, Rectify, and The Hunger Games. So, today, my dear Hellblazers, I am really pleased to present to you the awesome Mr. Andy Rusk. Okay, Hellblazers, today I've got for you someone from behind the scenes of Constantine, who works very hard, and not just Constantine either. We'll be talking today to Mr. Andy Rusk. So, Andy, hey, how are you?
Doing well.
Excellent. Great to have you on board, and as I said before, the Hellblazers are so thankful that they're giving up your time to answer their questions that they've sent to me.
No, I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. Right, yeah, I say this shouldn't take long. So, first questions I've got, I'll just go through them. I'll rattle through them. Well, not I'll
Sure.
try and get as much out of you as I can. But
Absolutely.
Cool. So, who or what made you decide to become a stuntman?
I grew up kind of raised on James Bond movies and Indiana Jones. And so when I went to college, I didn't know if I wanted to go into the foreign service or into archaeology. And then I realized that people that go into the foreign service don't get to drive Aston Martins, and the archaeologists don't fight Nazis. So that if I wanted to do any of that stuff, that I would have to probably go into the movie business. So I went into the theater in college, and I studied it as an actor, but I couldn't sing, and I couldn't dance, and I couldn't act. So I figured I'd have to pick up some other skills if I wanted to work in front of the camera. So I started training for the action side of the business.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I think everyone about our age probably wanted to be James Bond and Indiana Jones at some point in their lives.
Those are some of the best movies ever made, and they hold up so well, and it's just great fun.
Oh, it is. I think I just bought the 31. Oh God, is it 31 now? Films? No, 23 or something. What Bond films on Blu-ray? And you're right.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray quality's just brought them all back. So Sean Connery, who's your favourite Bond?
You know what? I love Daniel Craig.
Oh yeah,
I love Daniel Craig. I actually love Roger Moore.
All right.
I like the humor that he brought to Bond. And you know what else? You know who else I really liked? I like Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, he was good. He was really like the book. He was very straight.
He was the opposite of Roger Moore. He didn't play much comedy, and he was in some ways he was like the best Cold War Bond.
Yeah.
You know, in License to Kill, you know that played out. You know, in what 89. 90 somewhere when that film was made, and that was as close as we've ever been to nuclear annihilation with the Soviets, since the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he brought a lot of he brought all that energy to it. He was good. He was a good ruthless. We hadn't had a ruthless Bond. He was the first ruthless Bond, and then Daniel Craig is the next ruthless Bond, and there has to be an air of ruthlessness about him. You know?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you read the novels, Timothy Dalton and Daniel Craig now, I think, were the most like Bond. He was just cool. He loved killing. He loved that kind of thing. Who's so yeah, I agree with you on them. Timothy Dalton was very underrated, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roger Moore was actually on the radio when I was driving home today.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, he's still funny to listen to.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Awesome. They don't get paid much either. That was what I was going to say before I decided to ask what Bond you like. Well, that's what I wanted to do when I was younger, and then I looked at the actual salary of someone of MI5 living in London, and I think it was only converted to dollars. You're looking at about $22,000 a year to be a spy, right. And I thought, you know what? For what they have to do, I was thinking maybe not.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Aston Martins in MI5.
Nah, sadly. All right, cool. Going back to Constantine, what was your favourite episode of Constantine to work on?
Oh, that's a tough one. I really enjoyed working on all of them. The pilot was fun. Mm-hmm. For the pilot, that scene at the end of the pilot where Matt walks down the hallway and lights his arms on fire, lights his hands on fire.
Oh, yeah.
That was Matt. We actually, the stunt coordinator, Cal Johnson, brought me and one of my partners, a guy named Jason Keeler, brought us both in because we specialize in fire, among other stunts. And he pitched this at the meeting that, there's the technology now is such that we can safely do small burns on actors.
All right.
If the actor is heads up.
Yeah.
If it's a very controlled environment and the actor is a heads up guy and is willing to train it, we can deliver it. And so we kind of waited by the phone with bated breath to see if Matt was willing to give it a try, and absolutely he was. And that was very, very cool that production would even consider it. He's the star of the show. If he has an accident and singes his hands and he can't work for a couple of days, it's a bad day.
Oh, yeah.
But we were 100% safe and dialed in, and we got training time and rehearsal time. And Matt was my first time working with Matt. He was super cool. Mm-hmm. And just watching that sequence come together at the pilot, and seeing that, it's like, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy, and he's willing to do the gag. And that's the great thing about Constantine is the characters. Or in the old books, you never know what is actual magic or what's just some sleight of hand parlor trick.
Yeah.
Whatever he pulls out of his pocket to get out of the jam. And so here we got to see the guy being the guy and pulling a Constantine trick to get himself out of a tight spot. And that kind of, for me, set the tone. We didn't know at the time if the show was going to go to series.
Yeah.
Or how much we were going to get to work on it, how much, what the stunt needs were. But I had fun on all of them. The what the art department did in the episode set down in Mexico was amazing. They found some amazing sets, and we got to do very cool stuff there. Every episode had its unique challenges and unique creatures and effects and locations and new actors to work with every one of them. And it's really hard for me to pick out a favorite single episode. But the pilot and that experience, that first day working with Matt, when we got together before call and trained that guy to set his bare hands on fire for one shot, for 1 4-second shot.
Yeah.
But that set the tone. We knew, it was like, yeah, this is going to be something special.
Oh, brilliant! No, so sounds really good. It's nice to hear you see when the actors actually get the chance to do stuff like that and get trained by you to do things. Because for us fans, it makes it sound that they're Daniel Craig does his own as well. Speaking of that too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does a fair amount of it. It's very physical, and Matt does not have a stunt background per se, but he's got great timing.
Yeah,
you can see it in his performances, and the timing that serves him so well as an actor serves him very well as when it comes time to do physical stunts. He had our stunt double for Matt was a great guy. Mm-hmm. and a great double, and they had a good relationship. And Jason Hill was his name. He did a great job all season long. Took most of the hard hits and all that stuff, but Matt absolutely wanted to do as much as he could do, as much as the producers felt he could do, as much as the Cal Johnson felt was safe, and Matt he'd get in there. I remember in the Blessed Are the Damned episode, that fight at the end, towards the end between Constantine and the ghoul outside the tent. Mm-hmm. We had blocked that out the day before, and we got there the night of shooting and showed, and did basically a rehearsal for the crew to show that fight to Matt and the crew for the first time, so they could see it for the first time.
Okay. And
Matt pulled his phone out,
right,
and videotaped our show and tell. Because he knew he wouldn't have a lot of time. That was not an episode where we had a lot of time with Matt to teach him the choreography. So he knew that he would only have one or two chances to learn the choreography, but he wanted to do as much as he could. So while they were lighting the set, he went and sat in his chair. They're doing makeup touches on him and hair and makeup, and he sat in his chair with his phone and watched the fight over and over and over and over again to learn all the beats. I've been doing this for several years. I've never seen another actor do that. I've seen there's stunt guys that won't do that.
Yeah.
Stunt guys that want to see it a few times and then you think they know it or whatever. Matt, he always went from the perspective of our department. He always went above and beyond as far as contributing ideas for the choreography, willingness to just throw a couple of knee pads on and get in there if the shot dictated that the camera was going to be on his face, and he was great.
Fantastic. That's really good to hear. So likewise, I think when I spoke to obviously likes of all the others like Matt, John Joe, Harold, all of them, they've every single one of them has also mentioned you, and I mentioned obviously I'm hopefully going to bring you into an interview as well. Every single one of them's mentioned you and how professional, one of the most professional people they've ever worked with, and they felt so safe. Matt himself actually said he's never felt safer in anyone's hands than yourself. So it's nice to see there's such a mutual respect between you guys. It's great.
Well, it was one of the things I'll miss most about the show. The fact that it's not, as far as I know, it's not coming back. Mm-hmm. I suppose I don't want to be. I don't know anything. I'm a rank and file paid employee, but it sounds like that iteration of Constantine is just cast to the wind, and I'm absolutely blown away that Matt gets to reprise the role on some other shows. Was it Arrow or Gotham?
Arrow he's on, yeah.
Yeah, because I think his performance of that character is going to be the one that all others are judged by. He's the first guy, the writers. This is the first time, the writers had it right. DC had it right. Warner Brothers had it right. He had it right. He was the guy, and I felt from the pilot, it's like, wow, if this thing goes, it's going to be something special. And I don't know where that moment happened for the other people involved in the show, but that was a show. Everything about that show for me, and for my boss Cal, and for Jason Hill and Marcel Coletti, who was our Z double, and Jason Keeler, John Cooper, Philip Dito, some of the regular guys that were just kind of part of the rotating stunt crew. Yeah. We were excited going to work every day. It doesn't matter if it was a 10-hour location scout or meetings or sitting around on your butt for 10 hours waiting for to slide in a pad for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Every day going into work, I was excited to go into work. We were all excited to go into work. It was a great atmosphere in the office and on set, and everybody felt like family, and everybody had contribute. There was so much room to contribute. You don't think about that. You think it's a comic book thing. It's all the all the rules and everything is set in stone, and I'm not saying like people could ad lib lines or anything like that, but there was so much room to contribute, and everybody involved had so much to contribute. Everything was a completely collaborative effort.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'll miss is just going to set every day and seeing those guys that were the best possible people for the job.
Mm-hmm.
The office team was great. The set crew was great. We had amazing locations. We had amazing creatures and makeup effects and wardrobe effects and special effects, and everybody believed in it, and if everybody still believes in it, like the hardcore Twitter and Facebook fans, I mean, it's a thing.
Oh yeah.
Like this is people are still going to be talking about this show in 5-10 years, like they talk about Firefly.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. You've just echoed what everyone has said. So just show. I mean, I think that's part of what makes it such a great show for people to watch as well. Because if you've obviously had that bond, you had that family feel on set. So everyone who actually watches it just comes through the cameras to screen that everything clicked for that show. Constantine's been done before. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to didn't make any defamation libel cases, but no. It's been done before. But yeah, in my eyes, it wasn't done well. But it was this one. You're right, Matt and everyone on that show. Everything just clicked. Everything was just magical. It was just brilliant. And I think that's what's driven the Hellblazers now. Is we're still fighting. And I don't think you probably know that they're actually trying to get crowdfunding as well, to try get crowdfunding going, to try and raise some funds to turn around and say to the networks, look, we'll help, as the fans, we'll crowdfund, we'll help to try and get you that money to bring it back, because that's how the fandom is very, very strong. So yeah, I mean, at the moment it's dead in the water. There's no, well, sadly, but I don't think that'll stay long. Once Matt gets back onto Arrow, I think hopefully we can try and bring it back.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's certainly precedent. I mean, there's shows that have gone off the air that have, Family Guy was probably most famous, and there's a few others that shows that appeared to have been dead in the water and came back on Netflix or something, and they had a tough road to hoe. It was my perspective, and again, I'm somebody that gets hit in the head for a living. I don't claim to be particularly savvy, but I thought that the show that I looked at the numbers. I know the numbers, and if that show had been on Netflix or had been on Sci-Fi or had been on CW, it would be their number one show. It would be a linchpin. It would be there, for 5 seasons, guaranteed.
Oh,
NBC, I think their model, their lineup's a little more old fashioned, but even NBC saw that Constantine was their number one most downloaded. From NBC.com, there's a number like the number one most downloaded show on NBC.com or most streamed show on NBC.com in 4 years or 10 years or something like that. So it was. But also, the character itself is kind of an underdog.
Yeah.
Like everybody can point to, Spider-Man, everybody knows who Spider-Man is. Everybody's going to go see a Spider-Man movie. Everybody's going to watch a Batman TV show. And that was, I think kind of a weakness for Constantine. It was no pun intended, kind of a cult hit to begin with.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, to me, that was part of the magic of it.
Oh, definitely.
I used to love poking around the Millhouse set and looking for other, what do they call them, Easter eggs?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, this is Dr. Fate's helmet, and this is so-and-so's, magic wand. They're, from the Silver Age of comics, there are many, many hundreds of characters that, that had their own books in their day that will never see a movie. They'll never see, a TV show of their own. But Constantine was the chance to bring some of those guys back to life.
Oh, definitely.
We saw the Spectre. Will we ever see the Spectre again? Gosh, I hope so. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. It's like not only are there, do you have 30 years of source material, but you have an endless supply of potential spin-offs.
Oh God, yeah.
And my personal favorite, I was holding my breath. I wanted to see the plant. I wanted to see Swamp Thing. You know, like we have a huge swamp down here in Georgia, about 4 or 5 hours from Atlanta, called the Okefenokee Swamp, and I was just waiting for the episode where Constantine has to go down to the swamp to solve a mystery, and so we all go on location to the Okefenokee. And just when we think he's pinched, and the bad guys are going to get him, here comes Swamp Thing to save the day. Because our special makeup effects guy was very, very skilled, and he could have whipped up the suit, and then we would have had the privilege of like, hey, who's going to get in this suit? That's an iconic suit. The original suit was worn by a legendary stuntman named Dick Durock.
Okay.
Who provided the suit, and I think he did the voice as well. He did all the suit work for the two Swamp Thing movies, and he might have had something to do with the short-lived TV show. But that would have been very, very cool to put another stuntman in that iconic suit and spin off another classic character, DC character with Constantine. Fingers crossed that gets to happen down the road somewhere. But
oh God, it'd be awesome if it does. I think there's still enough support with the normal Hellblazers, and I think DC, they've turned around, not DC, the guys from CW have said that this one episode, which he's back in at the moment, isn't going to be the last. They said it's going to be an ongoing thing. So I think a lot of us see the hope that which is what we said all along. If we can get an appearance in one episode, it can build the momentum, and then people will start getting more into it. Suddenly go back to see season 1, see how brilliant that was made. And then think, oh hell, we want more of this, and hopefully we'll keep fingers crossed that it will get pulled up. But it really was a fantastic show. And like you say, it's like when you see likes of Spider-Man, Thor, all those guys, and then you see some trench coat wearing, smoking, snarky Scouser.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But it was I'm only an hour from Liverpool, so I know quite a lot of snarky Scousers. They won't like me for saying that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I kind of answered one of the questions further on. I'll go to that one then. Do you know the comics? Did you read the comics beforehand? But you sound like you've, from what we've been discussing, you're well versed.
Not too well. I'd read a couple of them, when I was a kid, and then, but when we got started up, Cal did the pilot, and me and some of the guys got to work for him on the pilot, and then he started calling around to let us know that the show was going to go to series. And the first episode that we shot had fire stuff in it and rigging stuff. The first couple episodes were heavy, and so he brought me on to just help him out and share some of the workload. Mm-hmm. And then we started. He started looking for who was going to double Matt for the season, and found Jason Hill, and and we looked at what a tremendous opportunity it was, and we just kind of decided it's like, we need to know what's in these books. Mm-hmm. We need to know what this guy's about. If we got to choreograph a fight, how does this guy fight? Mm-hmm. If we've got a and sometimes, because it was such a collaborative effort, something comes down in a meeting. We think, this is the bind that he's in, and this is how Constantine gets out of it. And that we might have an idea for a stunt or a gag that we think would be more visually exciting.
Yeah.
And to just throw that out there without context is, it's like, well, we need to know something about what would Constantine do? How would he get out of here? Mm-hmm. How would he fight his way out of this situation? What tricks does he have up his sleeve that he can use, or what are the rules of magic in this universe? And so Jason Hill and I started buying all the books and started reading. He got a lot further along than I did. I was picking up the trade paperbacks and going through those, and so reasonably well versed, but I'm not. Man, I don't know them all. not by any stretch of the imagination.
Cool. That's brilliant. No, cool. I'm going back to other stunts again. What was the hardest stunt on Constantine to pull off? You've said your best one. What was your favourite one? What's the hardest?
The hardest. That's a good question. It's because by the time you actually get to doing the gag, if it's really, really hard, there's probably a different way to do it that you didn't think about.
Right.
We're not reinventing the wheel here. And if we think we are, we get rehearsal time to figure it out. Because the thing about a stunt is it needs to be, there's always an element of danger. But it needs to be repeatable.
Yeah.
If you do it once and it hurts so bad you can't do it again, then you're doing something wrong. It's you need to be able to repeat it for multiple camera angles, multiple takes, and the number one rule of a good stuntman is that he can get up and go to work the next day.
Yeah.
We're not just bashing our heads against the wall or doing so. So we're trying to, it's everything is an illusion anyways. So so do what you can to create the safest, most comfortable illusion and make it repeatable. And but there are some that are just thumpers. Like we did a rigging gag that was kind of difficult to pull off. It didn't wind up making it into the edit.
Right.
And we had some rigging challenges, things that were challenging because of the nature of what we were trying to do. This is a magical levitation rather than somebody that ordinarily you see hand pulls and ratchets where it's a superhero fight or a kung fu fight and somebody's getting kicked and they're flying backwards through the air. That's pretty simple to do. But when you get into magical levitation and manipulating a body in the air or that's tumbling through space, that can get tricky. Cal did one of what I would consider the hardest, which is he drove a car into a tree. And technically, that's not necessarily a challenging stunt. You want the car built right. You want your intrusion bar to keep the engine from slamming into your legs, stuff like that. You want your 4-point harness. But, you drive a car into a tree at 25, 30 miles an hour, it's going to thump.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to hurt. You drive a car into another car, that car is going to give a little bit. You drive a car into a piece of scenery that's been built to break away, and, it's not necessarily very punishing at all, but driving a car into, an oak tree that's 3 or 4 feet in diameter.
Yeah, that ain't going to budge anyway.
No, there's no way around. There's no way around that impact, and I think that was episode 7 or 8. The one with the ghosts, the vengeful ghosts, the vengeful spirits. That was Cal doubling the actor, slamming a car into a tree. That was a pretty hard hit. Another one that was difficult because of the number of components involved was in the episode, the Mexico episode, where Pazuzu or whoever the witch. I think Pazuzu was the name of the demon who.
That's the one. That's the one who got Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the female demon who was disguised as a nun. When she disappeared in a ball of blue fire, that one was challenging.
All right, cool.
Because that whole set, they built that sewer set on a soundstage.
Right.
They did an amazing job, and it was huge. It was 200 feet long, or something
Good
like
God.
that, or 110 feet long. It was massive. It had all these tunnels, and it was flooded. There were 6 inches of water in the bottom of that. So when we were in there working and preparing and all that, we were doing it in rubber boots with 6 inches of water on the floor. And our stunt woman, Marcel, we had a nun's habit made for her,
right?
Out of black Nomex fire retardant fabric, because it's a very sheer garment. It kind of hangs like a cocktail dress. When the transformation happens, the nun's have it becomes this more form-fitting, and it's still flowy and all that. And when you have when you're doing burns and flowy garments, you have to be very careful about being whipped in the face. Mm-hmm. So she was given also a black mask. So she's mostly blind.
Right.
You can just kind of see shapes and shadows.
Yeah.
Standing in 6 inches of water.
Yeah.
She's on fire. The fire is actually blue. We used an accelerant that burned blue. So when you see that sequence, there's some digital effects happening. There's some CGI happening. Mm-hmm. When you see the fire run across the surface of the water, we couldn't light the water on fire.
Yeah.
We couldn't have the whole floor of this place burning because it would have been unsafe. But the blue fire that actually runs up her body and is on her, that's actual blue fire.
Wow.
And then, besides all of that, we had a wire on her.
Yeah.
Going to, a rig up in the ceiling, and then a 200-pound stuntman standing on top of a 10-foot ladder on the other side of the set wall. Uh-huh. Getting ready to pull her off her feet so they could get that element where she is lifted up and blown backwards and then vanishes. And of course, he can't see anything, so he's blind. So we're doing everything with audible cues.
Yeah.
While the girl's on fire, while we're standing in 6 inches of water. And if I were to watch those shots with you, I could probably point out every little, dark crevice, every little nook and cranny on the set where we had a safety person. Because, we're working on all audible cues.
Yeah.
So if at any time we needed to, for safety reasons or for camera reasons, we needed to stop and go again, we had somebody wherever we were.
Yeah.
In choreography, we had somebody ready to step in with the CO2 extinguisher, somebody dressed head to toe in black, so they'd be invisible, ready to step in and put Marcel out.
Yeah.
And so, it was 100% safe, crazy safe. Mm-hmm. We had multiple redundant safety precautions in place.
Yeah.
Marcel was fine. We had a whole rehearsal day to rehearse the pull. She didn't even have so much as a sunburn, blister from the body burn.
Awesome.
We've done lots of hand pulls together. We've done lots of fire. I've done lots of fire gags for Cal, and he's got 30 years experience in the business. It's a very, very safe gag. So it wasn't hard in that respect, but it was very hard in it was a total effort. Mm-hmm. We had to, from inception to planning to execution, we had to work with the wardrobe department making the special wardrobe, and even help find them the material. Mm-hmm. Working with the art department so that they knew where we needed to be able to hide safety personnel in the set, be able to pass these wires through the set pieces so that we could, pull her off her feet. Mm-hmm. And then rehearsals with the stunt team, getting cameras set, camera tests on the blue fire so that they could see it.
Yeah.
And all that began weeks before in concept meetings when scripts were coming down. And,
cool.
It was very... And that was just one. That was probably the most challenging, is it had the most components, but there were a lot of sequences where, we'd get a script and Cal would look at the script and say, "Oh, that's a great sequence, but I've got this idea." And he would go to the writers or go to the director at the concept meeting.
Yeah.
And rather than have them tell us, have them write the stunts that they wanted us to do, they would write the sequence, and then Cal would have the opportunity to kind of fill in the blanks sometimes.
All right, cool.
With stuff that he thought would look cool, stuff that he knew was in our wheelhouse that we could do, and that was very, very rewarding.
Oh, fun. Sounds awesome. It really does. Sound so. When you watch it on set, you just don't appreciate how much as I say, the guys like yourselves actually go in and put these put effort in just to make it look, even for like a 30-second or 60-second bit on screen, about how much actually goes into it. It's absolutely fantastic to hear. I know, speaking to Will as well, he was the guy you put the bag over his head, suffocated with the bag.
Oh, right, yeah.
He was he was one I was asking him about that. I said, how does that feel, having a plastic bag put over your head? And he goes, he said it was fine. He said it was also, obviously you guys all made sure he was dead safe, but it's the fact he had to do it like 25 times just to keep going over and over and over again. Because suffocating is one of my fears, and it's just watching him on there, and it's just see that even that tiny scene. He was explaining how much actually went into it and how much preparation and safety, and it was just fascinating to hear.
Yeah, there's a stunt coordinator I worked for. He's a really great guy named Marcus Young, and he said just the other day I heard him say, or I saw where he'd said something like, "There's no easy stunt." And that's a trap we all fall into. We think about a hand pull on fire, or car gags, or big falls, what we call high profile stunts.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, those are the challenging ones, and the little push and shoves, or a slap, or a fist fight. Those are the easy stunts.
Yeah.
But people are delicate, and it doesn't take much to twist an ankle or twist a knee, If you fall into the trap of it's just a little gag, it's just a little push and shove, it's just a little fight, and it makes you, and you start to lose respect for what you do, what you're doing, then you get careless. Some people are very lucky. We don't put a lot of stunt people in the hospital.
Right.
We don't kill a lot of stunt people.
Yeah.
Because we know, hopefully, we should all know when we go to work that there's an element of danger in what we're doing, and our biggest job is to plan and prepare to avoid that, to minimize that risk. There's always going to be a little bit of risk, but we know it ahead of time. We're always thinking about it, and so we try and mitigate it.
Yeah.
And you look at the movie business, we don't hurt that many stunt people. Mm-hmm. We do hurt a lot of art department people. We hurt a lot of teamsters, drivers, and electricians, and grips, and camera assistants, because they, those guys, we don't freak out about their safety. They don't. Mm-hmm. We don't pay as much attention to the risks that they take.
Yeah.
Just working on set. Set's a very kind of a rowdy environment. Mm-hmm. We're outside in bad weather, and there's traffic, and there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And hopefully now, I think there've been some high profile accidents involving non-stunt people in the last couple of years, and I think there's a shift towards let's give everybody respect the risks in all the job titles and all the job descriptions, and give everybody the same sort of respect in regards to assessing risk and trying to ameliorate it. Everybody wants to go to work the next day. That's a big shift.
Definitely. Have you ever been hurt yourself?
Yeah, nothing too bad. Been knocked out.
Nothing too bad.
been cut up a little bit. Couple of minor fractures.
Yeah.
Nothing too. Got a concussion. But nothing too bad. I've been very, very lucky in that regard.
Awesome. Sounds very much, not as the same as I've just did wrestling the past 2 years, pro wrestling. At the age of 38, I took it up, and it was the best thing I've done. It was absolutely fantastic. But again, it's sort of, you see it on TV, and it's the way it comes out. But the rehearsing to go into make sure that you've gone over this, like you say, like the stunt thing. You go over the stuff so many times that you're happy with it, you're safe with it. I've actually not done it since January because the rope was a bit loose, and I flew out the ring and smashed. Ended up tearing at my quad muscle on my left leg. And it's still dented. I can testify that if you don't do things properly, because I didn't pay attention, I don't think much. Things can happen. So I can see where that can. In your industry, especially working with fire, working with plastic bags over the face, car crashes, you need to be so dedicated and so switched on and rehearsed. It's got to be a good thing to do.
Well, that's everybody when we're getting ready to light a guy on fire, all eyes are on him. Everybody's worried about is he going to be okay? Is he going to be okay? Nobody's paying attention to the forklift on the other side of the stage where the forks weren't left on the ground properly, and so somebody walking over there with a camera battery, it trips over it and snaps their ankle. So everybody's job on a movie set carries an element of risk, and everybody deserves the same attention that the stunt people or the stunts get and special effects get, because there's risk everywhere.
Oh yeah, definitely. So moving on to another question here. You've had an illustrious career working in film and TV. You're looking at IMDb. When I was looking at you here, you've got Hunger Games, Homeland, things like that. What was your best experience?
Oh, man.
Out of everything, if you can name one.
I have had a very, very lucky career. The first show I ever did a bunch of work on was Walking Dead.
Oh, right, okay.
Season 2, and I still am lucky to do some pretty regular work down there. So that's kind of always going to be my first love, my first home.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of that before there was ever a show.
Yeah.
When I was when my wife and I were young and broke and first dating, it was like a date night for us was like, get some takeout Thai food and go to the bookstore and pick up the new Walking Dead and go sit on the couch and read it. Awesome. And so to go from there to not too many years in the future working on the show, in my dream job as a stuntman is very, very exciting. And very, so that'll always be my first love. Probably the best overall experience, it's hard to beat Constantine because, Cal was very, very generous in letting me, sit next to him on the driver's seat and hold the reins sometimes and help see some gags through from, inception to execution. Uh-huh. And not just the ones that I got to do. The shower burn in the what episode was that? Episode 3? Episode 2? That was the guy. The coal mine episode.
No, I was going to say it's the mine. Yeah. When
the mine. That was one of the best burns I've ever done, and it got great screen time and went very well, and I got to help plan that and be there on the day and do it. But some of my best experiences were on that show were helping find other people for the job.
Yeah.
And getting them hired, getting them fit in their wardrobe, seeing them show up on the day, and then getting to stand over there in Video Village with the directors and the writers and producers and watch other stunt people that were friends of mine do an amazing job, and you hear all the oohs and ahs. So that was, the fact that Cal brought me in early and trusted me to be that much a part of the team was awesome. But I've gotten to do some very cool stuff. I got to work for Buddy Joe Hooker, very briefly, doubling a guy on a show. Fast 7 was awesome. I only worked on that one for about a week, but it's all been great. The best job, the most fun job is the one I'm doing right now, or the next one I got coming up. But Constantine and Walking Dead are the two high water marks.
Awesome. Speaking of Walking Dead, it's one of my favourite shows as well, so you can't get better than that. It looks so much fun to do. How'd you find having to rig and perform stunts with zombies? That's got to be totally different, because they've got a whole different way of walking, different way of acting.
Yeah, the makeup is well, thankfully I'm not a very good actor, so I don't have to try too hard. I'm kind of naturally a zombie. It's what can I say? It's the same. It's it's the same sort of experience as Constantine, and that it seems like whenever I get to go down there and work on set, it seems like everybody's really excited to be there.
Yeah.
They know it's a special show. It's been affirmed many times over with the ratings and all that, and those guys, the Walking Dead crew, are probably the hardest working crew I've ever seen in the business. Because I don't know if you pay attention, to where they are, but much of those episodes, every episode, they spend a lot of time outdoors.
Yeah.
They start shooting, I guess, sometime in the spring, and they kind of wrap up shooting, late fall every year, and that. And so between spring and fall in Georgia, you run a whole gamut of weather. When they start up, it's probably cold outside, and they go through the hottest, driest, wettest, whatever, nastiest summer you imagine. And then by the time they finish the season, it's threatening snow, and they're outdoors through so much of that. And it's a very they have every day they're doing stunts, every day they've got special effects, every day they've got zombies and special effects makeup. And all those actors have so much work to do. Everybody down there has so much work to do, and they work so hard for 10 months at a go, and you can see it. It pays off. It is a great show. The rigging, I've had a good time down there rigging. I haven't done much rigging lately. I've done a lot of the fire. I still do a lot of the fire safety stuff. And I do a lot of the zombie work because I'm tall and skinny. And everybody down there is great experience, great show, great crew, great cast. I'm very lucky to get to work down there.
Awesome, yeah, very envious of you doing that. By that and Constantine and everything you've done, it's just envious. Very envious you get to do things like that. It's brilliant. Okay. Also, see you worked on Rectify. This is just one I've thrown in. Did you meet JD? Yeah. Is that where did you meet JD on that one? JD Evermore?
I did. Yeah, I did. I did meet JD Evermore down there. I worked a little bit season 1, and then season 2, I doubled Aiden.
Right.
And it's not a stunt heavy show. But I was part of the fist fight and some of the other stuff in season 1, and then season 2. When Aiden is flashing back to his time in prison, I doubled him for some of that the beating he took in the cell by the prison guards. But yeah, I met JD Evermore down there, and then but didn't really work too closely with him. He and Aiden are not involved. We're not really involved in anything that I worked on in any kind of scene. But he's a super cool guy.
Cool.
Yeah, everybody over at Rectify is super cool too. That's the current thread, the common thread through all these shows is all the really great shows that I've found, that I've been lucky enough to work on. You get over there and it's like everybody's great because they, generally speaking, they're doing what they love to do.
Yeah.
And because they look around and say, hey, this is a really cool show, this is a really interesting show, this is a really exciting show.
Yeah.
And they're thankful to be there. Ray McKinnon's cool, Aiden's super cool, all those guys.
Awesome, yeah. JD's coming on my podcast in a couple of weeks. He's agreed to that as well. Yeah, so I thought I'd ask that one in as well. He's very funny as well from what I've from the messages he sends. Got very good humour. So that'd be awesome. That's actually bringing me to... Oh, actually, I've got one more, which was just my one I think I'll throw in at the end. Is like, have you ever worked with Spencer Wilding? Or do you know him? Probably not so many of you guys out there, I guess, but...
Yeah, I looked him up after you asked about him, and I don't know him. I'm sure we have friends in common.
Yeah.
But the rules with our different unions are such that it's hard. It's hard for an American stuntman to work in the UK.
Right. Okay.
And it would be equally difficult for a UK stuntman to work in the States.
Yeah, and I know he's done a few US films, but I don't know whether that's because they were filmed over... He was in Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff as well, but I don't know if that was filmed over here. I don't know.
I'm not sure, and frequently even those big features they'll move. They'll shoot a couple of weeks at Pinewood.
Yeah.
They have some specialized piece of equipment over there, like a big tank or an abnormally large green screen, or else they need to do exteriors.
Yeah.
in London or something. But I'm sure we have friends coming. I'm sure we know some of the same people. But it's in the States, it's a small community.
Mm.
JD Evermore, like a lot, especially people that have worked on a lot of stuff in the Southeast. We know each other.
Yeah.
But same up in Canada. The Canadian stunt guys, there's great stunt guys in Canada, there's great stunt guys in the UK, and it's just the rules are such that it's hard. It's hard for us to move around a lot.
All right, okay.
To work overseas.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. I was at Harry Potter Studios a couple of weeks back in. They were filming something there because they've still got an active studios down there as well. So I was desperate to find out what they were filming, but
yeah,
could hear all these noises and bangs going off, and it was just like, oh, I want to know, but no one would tell us. Cool. Right, well, that kind of brings us to the end of the interview today, Andy. That's been absolutely fantastic. It's been really, really fascinating listening to you on there.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the Hellblazers before I stop recording for them?
No, it's other than thanks for making it a special show. I like I said, I knew from the pilot that it was going to be something special, and I knew Matt was the guy.
Yeah.
As little as I knew about the comic when we started, but then once the engine got rolling and I started reading, and it was like, yeah, he's the guy. He's everything that Keanu wasn't in the first Constantine. He's British and he's blonde and he's funny. And then when we got to roll up our sleeves and work together, he is the guy. There will never. I can't fathom that there will ever be another portrayal of that character that gets it any closer. And when they go back and watch those episodes, that's Matt on fire.
Mm.
That's Matt hanging from, pencil point thin wires levitated off the ground. Yeah. That's Matt doing, the fist fights. And if that doesn't make him Constantine, I don't know what does.
Awesome.
So he's the guy. He's the real deal.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Andy. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. For the Hellblazers now, I will sign off. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Well, Hellblazers, I really hope you enjoyed that as much as I had in talking to Andy. Absolutely fantastic, and what a great insight into an area of the film and TV industry that we rarely ever get to see or hear about. Anyway, that's all for today. Keep the fight going, Hellblazers. Stay positive. Keep your campaigns going, and keep up the hard work. This is Chris Gordon, Ramblings of a Hellblazer, signing out. See you later.